Daniel, hey man,
Hi,
how
Aaron. Hi.
are you doing?
I'm good so far. Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Good to see you.
Good. Yeah, you're catching me at the Baltic Sea at the
Ah,
moment.
really?
Yeah, I
Ah,
had to after this whole lockdown story, we had to escape the city for a while after the homeschooling and everything, and the kids at home for weeks and weeks. So a friend of mine has a trailer here, and it was free for 2 weeks. So we took the chance and booked it right away. So
cool.
and we're here, and I'll be back on at the weekend. I'll be back in Berlin. So
Ah, nice. Do you still have leftovers of the meat we gave you
still
at
bits
home?
and pieces.
Ah, really?
So I gave it to friends of mine, and I gave it a lot of those pieces I gave away,
How
but we
was it?
still have some, and we had a lot of we prepared several dinners with it.
Yeah. How was it?
It was all right, a bit, how to say, it tasted all the same a bit, in a
Ah,
way, although it was supposed to be different, but it tasted all the same.
yeah. Different packings, but same taste.
Yeah, in a way. I don't know why.
I
But it
just
was all right. It was interesting.
yeah. Okay. So I went through your website once more. Listen, first of all, I would really like to come by your studio one day if it's possible. I mean, to see more works.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Please do so.
yeah.
So, no.
Just look
Yeah.
through your website, and there's so many great. I don't know, so many great works that I haven't seen. So
And that's not even all of them.
I'm sure.
Um,
Can you tell a little bit about your work, about your background, about your project?
yeah, okay. Um, First of all, I started as a self-trained artist. Um, when I was back there studying law, and that was kind of that came after the wall came down, and I didn't know right what to do. So I've been always painting and drawing and wanted to do things, tried to build things with my hands, little cars and things like this. But being an artist was never an option actually. So it was more playing around. So, and it didn't come to mind. It wasn't part of my family, and it wasn't part of my upbringing. And I didn't know any artists personally.
Mhm.
So I never considered myself to be an artist. So I tried other things. Actually, I wanted to become, um, I don't know what's it called, electrotechniker,
Mhm.
someone who's um, deals with tiny electronic things and puts things together. And um, I always liked when I could put things together that worked, that did something, sound or light. So, and so I followed that path a bit, but after the wall came down, everything was in a way opened up, and nobody knew actually what to do, and we kind of enjoyed our freedom, but on one hand, but on the other hand, we didn't know what to do with it actually. So, and so I denied this artistic urge in a way. So I tried to do something else, something more. What's the word? Um, you know, that owns you money and
Mhm.
enables you to uh, establish a certain lifestyle, things like
Mhm.
this. So, and then when I started this kind of study, and then after a while, I met some people. I met people there, fellow students that did other things, not only studying law. They were musicians, were interested in art. So we became friends.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them took me to a painter that gave classes at that time. And she kind of thought I was talented or gifted and kind of taught me basic things. So, and then I did classes at an art school there where I was studying. It was in Halle. And I went to these kind of so-called Abendschule or evening drawing classes at the at the art school there. I sneaked in, and I liked that, and I had both things together. I kept studying law, and I took these kind of art classes in the evening, and then I had to decide. And at a certain point, after this both things, and I didn't consider myself as an artist. It was still something I did in my leisure time. I had where I actually I liked it more than studying law, of course, but still. And so, but after a while, I had to make a decision, and then I finished the law study. I did this first state exam in Halle, and then I said to myself, okay, I have to do something about this art thing that that always is in my mind, and I said, okay, let's give it a try. I go to Berlin because Halle was I considered Halle to be too small for me, or there was only one art school, and everything that happened around that art school, and that was not enough. So I went to Berlin, and still I didn't go to any art school, and just started painting there, and met some friends. And we established an artists group, and they had the same problems as me because they were self-trained artists as well. And so after a while, we we organized exhibitions on ourselves, tried to exhibit wherever it was possible, whatever was possible, and I tried to work as much as I could. And Berlin, that was in 2000, beginning of 2001, was a little bit different at that time, and it seemed to be a bit after the 90s heydays. It was a bit calmed down before the international jet set moved in, and so we kind of were it was kind of a good time to be there. Artists were there, rents were comparatively cheap, and if you did something, people would recognize that you would do something. And so that after that year, I stayed in Berlin, and I made some friends there, had some nice connections, and thought there's no need to do something else. I mean, I could become a lawyer later still. So, and I followed that path. So, and then I know if you do something, things happen, and we all had gallery contacts then, had several exhibitions, and were able to make a living. Not big scale, but it was all right. So I kept going. And then, to make it short, after a while, I moved to England and made a master. Took a master's class for drawing there because I got stuck in my routine in Berlin and with exhibitions and so on. And after that, I went to Hamburg because I thought it might be a good idea. What I liked in England was that you had fellow students and you had teachers you could talk to about your work, that teachers who knew what you're struggling with, where you are at the moment with your, and I wanted to have that for at least a while, and then go on my own again. And so I moved to Hamburg for another 2 years and did a master's there. with Werner Büttner and Jutta Köter in Hamburg. For another 2 years, I stayed in Hamburg, and yeah, I came back with a lot of experience and some nice connections. So and then I came back to Berlin and yeah, continued working. So.
Okay, cool. So that's the history of your like studying and developing as an artist.
Yeah. And
okay.
so now,
Can you tell a
so
little
the
bit
struggle is on.
about the work itself? Like how what do you paint? What are your subjects that you know that I don't know, get your attention and period, like a little bit of the process of your work?
Yeah. So the work kind of changed over the years. Maybe will change more and more, or I don't know, because it's kind of an open process. So I started because I was always interested in painting as there's two points to it. So one point is the process of painting itself. I was always interested in this kind of process of making something. So how it works, the materiality of paint, the physicality of paint, the what you need to it, the paint itself, be it oil, be it acrylic, be it watercolor, gouache, and so on, and what it does on the surfaces you're using. So, and on the other hand, it is your themes, your sujet, what you're dealing with, and I always wanted to bring those both together. I wanted to not only to that's what I'm struggling all the time with. So I'm trying to make a painting that's totally contemporary, but has part of has the ability or the quality to move you, to touch you by your heart and by your senses, by your mind, and still is something that is and still is a painting. So it might be a bit complicated to explain, but that's what I'm trying to do. So on one hand, it's a technical thing to get things done. On the other hand, it's something you want to tell something, but not only. It's not about only telling it, or not only about the sujet or what it is you're captured with. It's both things. You want to make a painting that is something that relates to your predecessors, and that is still something very unique and
Original.
quite original. So
actually, I can feel it very strongly in your paintings from the ones I saw. It's very, I don't know, it has this contemporarity and strong colors and modern and at the same time, I don't know, the subjects and the compositions, and I don't know, it's very, it feels like ancient in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe the painting explains it better than I can, obviously. But that is, yeah, because in a way I believe, or I think there is kind of unwritten or maybe even unspoken eternal laws in painting, or in yeah, let's talk about painting basically. I don't want to talk about art so much. Let's say painting, but it's about composition, composition and how color works. That is something you can follow through all the centuries. You see it, although it kind of, although it changes in a way, but the basics are always the same. So and this has something to do with you as a human being, I think. So and then so you can address something very universal by using these kind of rules or laws. So because I think that works for everyone, because you can go to this to that. I mean, that is the interesting thing about painting. You can go to to a museum, or even to these caves where people used to paint or to draw or whatever, however you call it, 30,000 years before, and you're touched by it in a way. So, and because there's something that addresses something to you as a human being, that is something that relates to you as a human being all the time. And that's what I try to do as well, beneath the whole other thing, beneath the struggle of creating something that is something unique and new, and not new in a way, in a contemporary way.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there like a specific periods or painters that you are influenced by, that you try to, I don't know, you know, yeah, I don't know, go back to when you?
yeah, I think so. That's I think that's easily to be seen if that I like the the period by the end of the 19th century, when Impressionism starts or rises, and color becomes a free element, is no longer the servant of the content.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I really like about the whole thing that starts then. There's a lot of things that are problematic, but one thing, and this is something I'm still using, as you can see in my paintings, that's the free use of color. It's not longer just something that illustrates what your story.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and you can use it in any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
So so this period is I'm very relating to. So, and other artists today as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it starts with it starts with Cézanne or Van Gogh, of course. Van Gogh, Gauguin. Then Schmidt-Rottluff, the Expressionists, Richter, not Richter today, Kirchner, and the likes.
Interesting. Actually, yeah, it's interesting that you say it, because I don't know, when I see it, actually, I don't know, it made it, this, you ever really, I understand that you talk about the color, but I felt that the compositions are so strict. It made me feel like more, think about Giotto and the Renaissance, and then the old Italian masters. And that's why I'm saying ancient, because the compositions are very structured and central in some way, which is not always very impressionistic. I don't know. I mean, I see, of course, in the colors, I see that the color is very, very expressionistic and impressionistic, but I don't know, something with the composition is very different, I feel. So, I don't know.
Again, my paintings are better than I'm, can explain of themselves better than I can. Mm-hmm. And you obviously see more than that is in my mind now, because you're totally right. That's something I'm addressing as well. I'm coming always. It's always about I'm coming with expressionists, because they are very. That's very close to me. But still, the composition is something I'm really taking care about, and that is more Giotto, Fra Angelico, the early Renaissance painters, or even the late Gothic painters. Mm-hmm. You have Roger van der Weyden, Hugo van der Goes, those where they are really, really strict in the composition, where everything has its part. So mm-hmm. Nothing is there's no chance in these paintings. Everything is planned and has its, and that's what I think try to do as well. Although it has, I try to do it in a way that you don't see. That's he
Yeah.
planned it that way. It
Yeah.
has to. It has to be out of the
Natural.
come
Yeah.
out of the flow. So, and it's a very tricky thing to do. It's not always so easy, but
Yeah.
still there. And Piero della Francesca, of course, is one of the influences I'm looking at when it comes to terms with composition. Of course, you've seen that.
Okay, interesting.
Totally, you correct.
And yeah, I'm taking you to the specific proposals for Framed. So you mentioned something about memories or experiences you had in your childhood, a strong flu or something. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
That was something. Yeah, when I have a Catholic upbringing, and that was something. It was a bit special in the GDR because I was only one in my class that, that had a Christian upbringing. Or I was the only Catholic. There was one Protestant, and that's it. So you always had to face, or you had to. You were always challenged in a way. You had to uh, not justify, but in a way, yeah, teachers were skeptic and would say, God doesn't exist. We proved it. We've been to the moon. Huh? Yuri Gagarin was up there. There's no God. We've seen it all. So you had to, of course, and as a child, it's, what can I say? How can I answer this? So there was always, this kind of childhood belief was always questioned by your peers and whatever was around. So, but still, it was something really strong within me that kind of something made me stable within myself. So, and then I had this, and now, of course, you're reading these books, um, and then the thing that I mentioned was I had a strong flu, had to stay in bed for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks maybe, and I had a copy of the Bible beneath the bed. It wasn't that I did read it every evening, but in this kind of special period, I started reading it and started it from the beginning. And then you imagine, of course, the stories come to life, and you have these kind of strong images that maybe are even stronger when you're alone in your bed and you're
With high fever.
not so well. So,
Yeah.
and so I had these figures in my mind for long, and then I forgot about them, but they're still very deep inside. And now I think I'm matured enough as a painter to kind of deal with them again. So, and after I did to my process, back to the process, I started with, as a figurative painter, I'm still figurative painter, but I started with someone really with figurative painting, and then I moved away from that a bit and did a lot of landscapes and trees and flowers, and then the figure came back, and now I'm thinking, I don't know, I feel it's kind of the right time to go back to those figures and try to think what I can do with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that was the idea.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, it would be great next week maybe to, if you can show us some figures, maybe share screen or send me some photos.
Yeah.
We have some drawings.
I can show you something. Of course I did. I'm keeping myself busy all the time, but here it changed. I did some, because it's always like you mentioned, all about composition and color, and it's a bit like a musician. I'm trying to play, or to Übung, what's the word,
Practice or
to practice every day a bit. So
yeah.
and I'm looking around, and so I brought something with me here. I'm sitting, by the way, I'm sitting on a bench beneath the reception of the whole campsite where
Was
I
it
am.
the
That's the
Wi-Fi?
only place where I have internet.
Yeah.
So, but I can show you some things. I did these kind of small
Sketches.
sketches, paperworks from where we can see the sea or some of the trees and the beach things and so on. So like this.
Yeah, cool. It's watercolor?
That's watercolor, it's gouache.
Nice.
It's so
Mm-hmm.
like this. And here, our neighbors enjoying themselves. Again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, things like this, or strolling around. So that because we are surrounded by wood here. I don't know if you know the Baltic Sea.
I haven't been there yet, but I know it's beautiful.
If you have ever the chance to go, do so, because it's very interesting. You have the sea. Although Ophir told me he's been once or two times and he can't go there because it's too cold.
I think Israelis to go to the beach without be able to go inside the water, it's a bit problematic. Like, watching the Holy Land without yeah.
Of course, yeah, we have to be. I mean, it warms up, so I think we have 19 to 20 degree now.
Oh, okay,
so
not too bad.
That's okay. Yeah. So, but it's very windy today. It's sunny now, but at the beach it's very windy, so it's cold. But I'm trying to go inside every morning, although swimming is not allowed because the waves are too high at the moment. And so, but just behind the beach, there's always wood. So you have Nadelwald or Laubwald. Like here, and you can cycle. If it's too windy or the weather is not so nice to go to the beach, you can walk around or go by bike and cycle all the way up and down to some places. So it's always it's never boring. It's not always never the same. Of course, the sea changes, but if you don't know what to do, you can go by bike and explore the rest of the coast.
No, I love also with the lakes here, for us it's so unusual to be in a water surrounding with forests and trees. Usually we have the beach and it's sandy, which is great, but then that's it. And here the fact that the water comes with the green and the forests it's amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's special. That makes Berlin very interesting or nice. So the surrounding of it.
Beautiful. Brandenburg, the surroundings of Berlin is just amazing. Brandenburg, Mecklenburg, we just were in Brandenburg for a few days in the border with Poland, like an hour and a half northeast. Endless green landscapes and tons of lakes. Just really unbelievable.
And nobody's there.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
It's if you're lucky, you're there. Last year we've been cycling as well when the kids were on holidays, and it was so I don't know, we almost couldn't believe it. We did, although the weather wasn't so fine, but it was still sunny and not too cold. But we had lakes where we were the only ones there, or just 2 or 3 families somewhere, and that's it. So
yeah, that's cool.
That's very very it's very different compared to Berlin, and very a relief in a way, or something that you kind of
sure.
Once you're there, everything, the whole city is.
Okay, Daniel, thank you so much for the talk. So I look forward to talk to you next week.
Next week in the studio.
In the studio, so we'll see some walks.
Or I don't know what you prefer, but we can. Yeah, I'm probably next week. I'm in the studio to show you more.
Yeah, so, sure. And let's be also in touch, because I would love to come by and see it.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's email each other and set a time and date.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I don't know. Shall we? We can do it by mail, or what do you think?
Yeah. Let's email. I'll email you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, and thank you for. What I want to say, I'm really happy to that it happens. That frame process is still on, and then I'm part of it. So
Me too.
I really appreciate that. Thanks
Yeah,
for
appreciate
calling.
you joining us. Cool.
So
Guys,
ciao, bye,
family, bye.
shalom.
Shalom.